BEC-TV, your weekly look inside the Eagle football program in a year like no other. Eagle Man Cave. My name is Josh Powers, and welcome to this first ever virtual Inside Kennedy football. Coming up on this edition of the program, we'll talk with the head coach, Kedrick Williams, about the season opener against Minneapolis Washburn. We've got a couple players and an assistant coach to talk to as well, and then we'll preview Kennedy's big battle, a border battle with Richfield, coming up on Friday night. And we're going to be joined here by Kedrick Williams. Kedrick, glad you and the team could make it here, but how have you been, my friend?
Doing great. Josh, getting ready for rivalry week.
Great. So, Kedrick, I know there you go. Good. I didn't get to see much of you on Friday, keeping our distance, of course, but it had to be emotional for you to kick off the home portion of the schedule. We had a great performance by a couple of the Kennedy female choir members before the game. You gave kind of a rousing pep talk to the number of fans that were in attendance. Just talk about everything that went into that kind of opener before we actually kicked off the game on Friday.
Sure, Josh. Thanks for having me tonight. I really appreciate it. On for a season that we thought we wouldn't have, huh?
Exactly.
Basically, what we wanted to do is bring light to our community, east side of Bloomington, and all of these social issues that we've endured, over the last 6 months or so. And all the things that the kids have been through with racism, social injustice. And we just wanted to honor that. We wanted to recognize that playing a Minneapolis school, we know those kids go through some of the same issues that our kids go through. And I just wanted to commend administration from both schools for allowing us that moment to really just say thank you for standing by us as an administration. Thank you for letting us know that you have our backs. Thank you for letting us know that you support us in our everyday fight against injustices.
I know you also have a close tie to the Minneapolis school districts, Kedrick, and that community as well. So it had to be extra special that the opponent was that Minneapolis City School in Washburn, a team not only that Kennedy's familiar with, but also that you're familiar with in your background.
Right, right. And you're correct. I still have a couple of players from my youth days who I coached over at Minneapolis Washburn. So, that was a big deal to me. It always is. It was the last game that we had at home last year, first game this year. To see those kids, there's now to see them uh, uh, to go ahead and play that game.
So, Kedrick, it's just a crazy year. You mentioned all the around the city of Minneapolis, COVID-19, something that has been unprecedented. What was your process through the summer? We weren't even sure we were going to have a season, so just walk us through prep that led into what happened on Friday night, where you actually got to play a football game.
Well, it started back in, of course, August when they decided that we were going to move to the spring, Josh. And at that time, we just decided, okay, let's get our fundamentals correct. Let's go. They did award us 12 days between September and October. And in that 12 days, our philosophy was let's get our fundamentals correct. Let's go ahead and see how our offense is going to roll, get some things down before we get into the springtime. When the decision was made to go ahead and go forward starting September 28th, we had to go into fast forward mode. It went from fundamentals to now, okay, we have to prepare for the season in 2 short weeks, and we got to get ready to play our first opponent. It was good in a way because we were able to just kind of put things on a rush. I believe Friday night we showed that we had done great after preparation. We only had 2 penalties all game for like illegal substitution or having the wrong formation in. So I commended our coaching staff for that to only have 2 errors in that way.
Yeah, so let's talk about that game against Washburn. Maybe the toughest opponent on your schedule, 48-20. Washburn comes out with the win, but I thought, Coach, You mentioned the lack of kind of silly penalties or not prepared penalties. I thought that was something that you guys executed well. And then I thought from an offensive standpoint, you guys showed a lot more diversity than last year. You ran for over 100, threw for over 100. You had 9 or 10 different players, either with a rushing attempt or a passing reception. I think you guys showed that you've got a little bit more diversified weapons on offense this year.
And I'm sorry, I'm trying to adjust here. Yes, yes, Josh, 100%. And really, that's something we wanted to go into. Last year, when I got the job, I knew I had Theo Simmons and Jake Houston, and I knew I had to get them graduated off to college, St. Olaf and Gustavus, respectively. And now this year, it was all about buying into the future last year. And the future was using our athleticism at Kennedy High School. Really not making it a one man or a two-man show, but we have the ability to have 6 different playmakers on offense. And that's really what we used. We used some receiver in there. We even got a quarterback with a touchdown in that game. It was really about diversity. How are we going to diversify our offense to where teams can't just stop 1 or 2 people? And in
Let's
just
talk
a
a little bit
moment, you'll
about
talk to our.
defense too, Kedrick. Yep, we're going to talk to a couple of your offensive guys coming up in one offensive guy and one defensive guy, Zaire Marshall, as well as Rajon Walker. But let quickly before we go to our first break, touch on the defense a little bit because I thought you guys did some good things. Limited their passing game. Their quarterback was 9 on 4 passing. You came up with a big interception with Rajon. He's only a sophomore, but man, he's got a lot of potential. And I thought you guys showed some playmakers back there on defense as well.
Yeah, that was really what it is. It's bringing our youth up. He's a sophomore. Both playmakers on the backside are sophomores, and Marquez Monroe and Rajon Walker now. And again, it's playing our youth. You know, that's where our talent was. They were 9-1 as freshmen last year, and that was without our stud Marquez Monroe on that team. So, understanding that those where our talent is and our sophomore junior class. Not to say that our seniors have not been great leaders in practice, but to say where's the future going? How do we build so that we can sustain this thing over years' time? It's getting our youth onto the field, Josh. It's getting those kids who are able to make plays in space like Rajon did on defense, and then getting those kids who are able to make plays on the offensive side of the ball at all and keep defenses honest, keep defenses guessing. I commend our offensive coordinator, who you will talk to in just a moment, Jared Cooper. You know, that was what his summer was about. His summer was about how are we going to diversify our offense and not make it one-sided.
All right, Coach. Very good debut. Strong debut for you. We'll catch up with you in the final segment. Big game coming up on Friday against Richfield.
Rivalry week, buddy. I'll talk to you in just a moment.
Exactly. Sounds good. We will take our first break and be back with offensive coordinator Jared Cooper. It's the premier edition, virtual edition of Inside Kennedy Football on BEC-TV.
Not to mention the strength of your marriage. Then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
Back on Inside Kennedy Football, the premier edition here, 7th season we have been around. Hard to believe this is year number 7, and even harder to believe I'm sitting here in my basement recording this show as I kind of turned it into a little bit of a Kennedy man cave. But we're talking Kennedy football, their opening game against Washburn on Friday, last Friday, and then a look ahead to Richfield coming up on Friday, the big Nicollet board. Joined by assistant coach, the coordinator Jared Cooper. Thanks a lot for joining us on the program.
How you doing?
Very
Can you hear me?
good. How has this year treated? How does this year treated you, Jared? I know Kedrick talked a little bit about how you guys prepared to play football, even though you didn't know you were playing, and you have a pandemic
Yeah,
going around. But how crazy has 2020 been?
man, it's been real crazy, with the pandemic and just a different unrest that's going on across the country. With all the racial strife that's going on, it's been real hard. So we've been trying to just keep our head above water, keep our guys, you know, um, focused on just being young men and not worry about the pandemic and all the other craziness that's going on in this world.
And all the young men that you deal with are at a critical stage in their life. Being high school students, they're not yet adults. Most of them are under the age of 18. So
You all right?
what has been kind of that message that you and the coaching staff has delivered to those young men as you try to help them grow into men in their future?
Well, one of the things that we kind of concentrate on is making sure that our young men are uh, just being good citizens, and that giving them a voice, even at practice and when they want to talk about different things that may be going on with all the civil unrest and the pandemic stuff. So giving them a vehicle in which they can actually talk and get whatever's on their mind out at football practice, and even everybody has all the coaches' phone numbers as well. So we've never been, most of us as coaches, guys my age, we've never been through a pandemic, so this is a first for us. And so with that being said, really don't know how to tell them how to get through a pandemic, but we do know how to tell them how to be young men and focus on the positive things that happen in life.
Well, you guys were able to play a football game on Friday. I know that had to kind of turn the page and make things feel a little bit normal. But since you're the offensive coordinator, I wanted to, and I touched a little bit with this on the last segment with Kedrick, but I thought you guys were a much more diversified offense in terms of you seem like you have a lot more weapons at your disposal that can make some plays for you guys this year.
Yeah, that's the big difference. I mean, and that's not to say anything negative about the group of young men that we had in our skill position and on the offensive side of the ball last year. But we had a great
Sure.
kid in Theo Simmons. But we have our talent level is spread across a multitude of positions, and various players can do some good things with the ball in their hands.
We saw two different quarterbacks for you make plays. You ran for over 100 yards. You threw for over 100 yards. I have to imagine, from an offensive coordinator standpoint, that's kind of that balance. I mean, you'd like to have more yards, obviously, but that's the kind of balance
Most
that you're
definitely.
that you're looking for.
Right. And I mean, and we got to understand, we played against a playoff team in Washburn, who has a great coaching staff over there. A lot of the kids,
Mhm.
Coach K, played up under Coach K in youth ball, so we know that they have the ability to play at a high level. And they're a senior laden team, so we did come out. We made some mistakes offensively by giving up 2 scores, but we, not to take anything from those young men that we played against. So we played a real tough team, and we're at the beginning of our season. So nobody had any kind of scrimmages or anything like to get rid of the different issues that we had. So basically, it was our first preseason game during the regular season actually game.
Last one for you, Coach. We got to see a lot of the skill position guys on display, but talk to me about the offensive line, Coach. Where is that unit at? I thought they showed some good potential. You're going to need them down the line as you want to establish that ground game against maybe some of the um, weaker teams on paper that you guys are going to be facing here in the next month.
Actually, we were really pleased with some of the things that our line. We got half of our line is kind of young guys, and we were really pleased at some of the things that they were able to do. We still got room to grow as far as being consistently blocking and being able to pick up the blitz that teams like to do. So this week we'll be even more diverse because we're going to spread the ball out. We're going to put the ball in guys' hands early. And so, you know, we do want to pass downfield. So that's one of our big things that we'll be looking at this week, and cutting down on the turnovers. We had too many turnovers as an offense that I wasn't very happy with. But that comes with growth.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for the time. Good luck against the border battle in Richfield coming up on Friday, okay? All right, that's Jared Cooper. Time for our next break. After the break, it's our players segment. A couple of the more dynamic Eagles, one on offense, one on defense, will join us when Inside Kennedy Football continues.
Why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others.
For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
Back on the premiere edition of Inside Kennedy Football here on BEC-TV. Josh Powers with you in our first ever virtual edition of Inside Kennedy Football. Glad you are with us in this strange and unusual 2020 season, but at least it's a season that is happening. Time for the players segment now. A couple of the Eagles join me in Rajon Walker, Zaire Marshall. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right. First one for you, Zaire. You got things started offensively for you guys. You gave up a touchdown and an unfortunate kind of a bad bounce for your defense on that fourth down, but walk me through that 90-yard kick return for a touchdown that got Kennedy on the board.
A little bit before the game, I was telling everybody I'm going to take the first one back. And sitting back there, I was anxious. I was getting bouncy, and I caught it. And my teammate, Jeffrey, I seen him hit a block, and I ran right off his butt.
You also faked a handoff to a Marion Hanspart. I think that drew a couple of their defenders over that way. Was that a planned thing? Did you guys plan that first kickoff? You're going to do that fake end around?
Yes. Yes.
And how did it when you got past the kicker, knowing that? Sorry, Zaire. When you got past the kicker, how did that feel, knowing that unless you tripped and stumbled, you were going to get a Kennedy touchdown?
It felt great. The stands roaring. It felt good to get your first touchdown in the first game. First kickoff.
Rajon,
seconds later,
you also had a big play. Rajon, you also had a big play in the game. It's your very first game, so you were able to come in and make a diving interception. Walk us through that moment for you.
It was like when the quarterback rolled out. He overthrew his receiver, and I seen it like where it was catchable for me. So it was a little low, so I had to dive and catch the ball. So it just fell right into my hands.
What was it like that very first game as a sophomore, first varsity game? I can't imagine you'd have to prepare for being your first ever game in a pandemic, but what did it feel like to step out on the field as a member of the Eagles?
It felt good. It felt very energized. It felt good to me.
Now you've got a fellow sophomore back there in the backfield in Marquez Monroe. I mean, man, between the two of you, I think Kennedy's got some things cooking in the defensive backfield. I don't think too many people are going to be throwing deep on the Eagles this year.
Yes, I think that too.
How has he helped you come along? Obviously, he played last year as a freshman. What has he talked to you about, Rajon, and what advice has he given you leading up to this first game for you guys?
He gave me advice just to stay committed and just it'll come, the moments to be there. The moments to be there, and it's he helped me step through step. He told me things to do, what I'm supposed to be, and things where I'm supposed to my assignment on defense and stuff like that.
Zaire, you're also a wide receiver in addition to being a kick returner. So, what does that wide receiver group look like this year? It seems like you guys have some more weapons, some more guys that can make plays for you guys this year.
Yeah, we're a lot faster. I mean, a lot. I feel like everyone has just like bonded off of off the field. Like when we're out there, we're talking, acting like if someone doesn't know, no one's getting mad at someone if they forget a play. It's the first game, and we're just like we were having a good time.
All right, really quickly, guys, last question for you. One thing you guys did to help try to stay active or busy during the pandemic. We'll start with you, Rajon.
Just like being like distance from people and doing what you usually would do, but like you gotta stay like a distance from people. It's like a daily thing. Like you will still go outside and do the same thing, but you just gotta stay at you gotta wear a mask to go in certain places and stuff like that.
How about you, Zaire?
I did the same. I did the same thing, but I was more at home working out, and I recently got a home weight room, so I was there a lot. Or sometimes being new to the program, I stayed 6 feet away from my quarterback, getting reps in and just building that relationship.
All right, guys, thanks a lot for the time. Good luck against Richfield on Friday, okay? That's Rajon Walker and Zaire Marshall. As we go to our last break, up next, we'll preview the big battle against Richfield with the head coach, Kedrick Williams, when Inside Kennedy Football continues. Back on Inside Kennedy Football, they hit the road for the first time in 2020. Take on the Richfield Friday at Richfield, 7 o'clock start for the Eagles. Back to preview that, the head coach, Kedrick Williams. Kedrick, it's always one of the bigger games, if not the biggest game on your schedule every year now that you no longer play Jefferson, but you get right to it in week number 2. It's Richfield.
Right, right. And that's one of the best things about it, Josh, is what you just said right there. We get right into rivalry week. Wow. I mean, on a shortened season, excited. You know, you look at your schedule and you say, okay, what are the games you really look forward to? And then we talk about it with the team. Well, you know, Richfield always gets circled, Josh. We talked to the kids yesterday about it, the rivalry. And what we talked about is the expectation. We're not happy we have to go to their house 3 years in a row, right?
I'm
We're
not
not
happy
happy
about
that they're
that
not.
either, by the way.
We're not happy that they're not letting our fans in. They're letting their fans in, but they've told us that our fans cannot come in. So there's a lot of things to motivate us through rivalry week this week. You know, I talked to our administration last year about developing a traveling trophy that would go between us. And they really like that. Both administrations at both schools really like that. So that may be a tradition that we start this year. I have not yet heard. But, you know, one thing I can tell you is the energy level at practice today, you can tell this rivalry week. You can tell. Just the camaraderie, the getting around, the getting after it, the pop a little bit. We usually hit on Wednesdays. Today was a little bit of hitting in there. So, and that's what we want. That's exactly what we want going into rivalry week.
It's a Richfield team that you guys defeated a year ago. They also played their first game last weekend, scoring 28 points in a close loss. That game was tied until late in the fourth quarter against St. Croix Lutheran. So they've got a returning quarterback in Ryan Miles that you guys saw last year. It's going to be a test for you guys, maybe even more so through the air than last week.
Definitely more so to the area. Richfield's always traditionally passed the ball a lot. We're a 70-30 team in pass run. And the one thing about it is Richfield has always traditionally been able to put up points over the years. Even though we've won, they have put up points on us. And that's the point of emphasis right now. How do we slow down the passing game with Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Miles and Mitchell January? We know them. They know us. So that's what's fun about this rivalry. There's no secrets. We know who we're going against. They know who they're going against. We're going to try best to manage the clock. We're going to try best to manage the game to keep their offense off the field. It's powerful, and I give them credit for that. Ryan Miles, Mitchell January, they have a great connection with each other over the last 4 years together. So we're going to work hard to stop that, do some things to kind of confuse Ryan a little bit, and then see where the chips fall.
Last one for you, Coach. Where are you looking to improve most from week 1 to week 2?
Oh, I would definitely say defensively. Defensively. It's kind of what you said before. We did put on a couple touchdowns last week on the offensive side of the ball. We did do that. We accomplished that goal. We accomplished the goal of getting a turnover. Hey, we accomplished the goal that we haven't done in about 3 or 4 years, and that's get a kickoff with our special teams touchdown. We circled those. We did not hold the running game under 100 yards. We did not hold the passing game under 100 to 125. So those are little goals that we're trying to accomplish this year. When we check off our goals board, we check off what do we want to hold teams to. And that's something that we didn't do that we're going to focus more on this week.
All right, Coach. Thanks for joining us. It seems like you're in a good spot to get in a quick dinner. And we will look for your game on Friday, and we'll catch up with you next Tuesday on Inside Kennedy Football. Okay? Appreciate the time.
Everything that they do for us, especially in the COVID year. Thanks, guys. Hey, Eastside Pride, guys. Eastside Pride. Go Eagles.
Edition of Inside Kennedy Football on BEC-TV. Again, the Eagles take on the border battle Richfield Spartans Friday at Richfield. 7 o'clock start for the Eagles, game number 2 on their season. That'll wrap up this first ever edition of our socially distanced and virtual Inside Kennedy Football. Hope you enjoyed it. For our entire crew, this is Josh Powers saying so long from my basement studio.